Let's take a day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. All right, thank you. We would like to begin this transmission by reminding you that it is titled Mirror, Mirror. The idea behind this concept is that you have for some time known that certain things that exist in your physical reality, certain things that exist in the cosmos, can sometimes function as permission slips or symbols or reflections of things going on in not only your individual consciousness, but the collective consciousness of your world. So the idea is that these reflections can be looked at, can be understood in a manner as to reveal and illuminate some of the changes going on within you that you may not necessarily immediately see physically, but can give you an idea of what's happening deep within your consciousness that may ultimately move forward and crystallize enough to begin to experience those reflections in your physical world. One such thing that you have used for some time is the permission slip that you have called astrology, where you are looking to the signs and symbols in the stars and planets to be somewhat representative or reflective of certain themes you have chosen to experience in life. Now again, these things do not in any way, shape, or form control you, but they can reflect what's already been laid down by you from a higher level of consciousness. And in using them as that symbolic mirror, it can, depending upon whether you have an affinity for that particular kind of sensing, be used to help bring insight to the things that may not be immediately evident within your consciousness, things that might be in your unconscious mind, your subconscious mind, revealing more about yourself to yourself in such a manner as to allow you to move forward in your life in a more clear and conscious way. But we would like to address and use this concept in a different way now. We have begun to talk about, in these transmissions, the changes that are now going on your planet. Obviously, you are having a lot of fun in your country at this particular moment. As we said, as the ramifications of all the things that changed in the fall of 2016. So let us continue to illuminate some of the things now that are going on and represented in the cosmos as to what is physicalizing in your world. We have discussed from time to time the idea of parallel realities, and that the concept of you experiencing time is actually your consciousness shifting through billions of different versions of Earth, billions of different parallel realities every single second, and by doing so creating this illusion you call time and space and change. But we have also begun to remind you that as you now recognize many different people think in one way and other people think and believe in another way, and others and others and others, you are beginning to see what appears to be a divided culture, polarization, all sorts of very opposing opinions, and so on and so forth. But you're seeing far more than that. The idea is that you're actually beginning to see the splitting physically, not metaphorically anymore, the splitting physically into different parallel reality tracks. We have used the analogy before of different train tracks leaving a station. And if you are on one train, you may still be able to look across and see the other train that is leaving the station next to you, but eventually those tracks will diverge. And over time, you will find that it will be more of a challenge to see the other trains on the other tracks or even reach those other trains, and eventually you will no longer see them at all. You'll be in your own reality experience, only experiencing the things that are relevant for the train that you are on. Now, the idea is that this split has now begun to happen physiologically. You may not immediately recognize this because you can still see what's going on the other trains. You can still see that there are people who are vibrating at different frequencies from you that are vibrationally incompatible with what you may be experiencing or prefer to experience in your reality. Nevertheless, just because you can still see them doesn't necessarily mean that you actually are existing physically in the same reality. At this particular moment in the split, it is transparent enough and close enough in frequency that you can still perceive other parallel realities, but you have actually started to diverge physiologically into different parallel time tracks. The symbol that represents this idea in the cosmos with the stars and the planets has been scientific discoveries that you have made in recent times. The first one of significance being that your astronomers discovered what you would call a relatively Earth-like planet around your closest star, Proxima Centauri, that could possibly support life as you understand it. The idea of your search for Earth-like planets is part and parcel of your consciousness understanding that you are splitting into different parallel versions of Earth. So it's reflected by the fact that the first one you've discovered is around the next closest star to you, and that right there, as soon as you discovered and recognized that idea, was the beginning of the actual physical split into different Earths. But you started with the idea of yours and that one. So immediately you created the idea of two completely separate, different parallel time tracks, parallel reality experiences of the idea of an Earth. As many of you know, however, more recently, your astronomers have reported that they discovered another star system, what you call a red dwarf by the name of TRAPPIST-1, that actually has, amazingly enough, 7 Earth-like planets orbiting it. That's a very rare find. And the fact that you actually found it that quickly is another indication of the timing of the splitting into parallel realities. And so you went then from 2 all of a sudden to 9, including the 7, the one around Proxima Centauri, and your own. So now you have a cosmic reflection of the fact that the split into parallel realities is now inclusive of 9 different parallel tracks. This will continue as you discover more and more Earth-like planets around other stars. That will continue to represent and symbolize energetically and reflectively the idea of the actual physical splitting into different parallel tracks. And as this gains momentum, you will begin to experience more of the physical results of that split. Being able to know that you can accelerate in the direction that you prefer to experience and experience over time less and less and less of those parallel tracks that contain realities you don't prefer to experience. Again, this may take a little time, but that's all right. We're simply letting you know that what's going on now is beyond metaphor, is beyond something that's just happening as a concept. It is actually now physically splitting, even though you may not immediately be able to see that. The signs that it is truly happening physically will also grow stronger over time. Now, remember, again, it doesn't matter so much what's happening in the realities that you can still see and perceive. It really matters most what you do with that, how you respond to that, even if it doesn't appear to be changing outwardly. So the idea that we gave you before about the fact that perhaps prior to the great changes that happened in your fall of 2016, you felt like maybe you were floating down a little peaceful stream. And then suddenly, as those changes occurred in an unexpected way, you found yourself being jostled by rapids. But as we have said, if you learn how to ride the rapids, if you learn how to balance yourself and go through the rapids in a balanced way, you will actually be able to get downstream much, much faster than originally you would have. So the idea also is coupled with the fact that since what happened for so many people was tremendously unexpected, it allows you to go within your mind, well, if that could happen, if something that unexpected could happen, anything can happen. All bets are off, as you say in your city. And therefore, you can now use the idea of the unexpected to your advantage to know that if that can happen, then anything that I'm dreaming of that's true for me can also happen. So you can use that energy, even though it may be representative to many people of things they don't prefer, you can use that energy to accelerate you in the direction that you do by letting go of how it appears and just using the momentum that it has caused and the breakout that it has caused, breaking from the status quo that it has caused, to know that now you are actually more free than before to create the reality experience that you prefer, and the reflection in the cosmos of all the different Earth-sized planets you are now discovering are a reflection that you have started that physical split. And the more you stay in the energy and the state of being that you prefer to be, and the more you act from that state in your life, and the more you define everything that happens in your life in a way that allows you to extract a positive and beneficial effect from it, the sooner and stronger you will experience the physicality of the splits into the different parallel realities that we are now discussing with you. And you will see things changing within your world in ways you couldn't have imagined before, in ways you never would have thought could actually occur. But you will see an acceleration in this between now, specifically, your years of 2020. There will be many different things going on. If you take advantage of them in all the ways your imagination can, in positive ways, you will find that by the end of that period, you're going to be in a very different place in your lives, a place that would be more reflective and more conducive to experiencing your truth, your preference, in the way that you know is aligned with your core essential being. So, in looking to these reflections and paying attention to the discoveries that you're making in the outer reality reflection, you can then gauge what is really going on within the collective consciousness and even within your own individual consciousness as you become more and more aware of these symbols reflecting these ideas to you. Is this making sense to you? Yes. All right. So please have fun with it. Don't worry. Don't react to the things that you don't prefer, because remember, even if something crops up in your life you don't prefer, it's still there for a reason you can use in a positive way. Make it part of your excitement that things crop up you don't prefer, because it's going to give you an opportunity to see, by contrast, what it is you do prefer more clearly. That's how to use that in a positive way, instead of simply matching the vibration of what you don't prefer by moping about it. The idea is nothing affects you until you agree to be affected. You are changing your own energy to match the frequencies of things you believe are true. So watch your definitions and create new definitions that work for you, instead of just assuming that the ones that don't work for you are facts that you cannot change. The only facts that exist in your creation are the 5 facts we call the 5 laws. You exist, everything is here and now. The one is all, the all are one. What you put out is what you get back. Everything changes except the laws. Everything else other than those facts are not facts. They are perspectives, they are opinions, they are beliefs. And you can change every single one of those. Make sense? All right. No mistake that you're here tonight to talk about mistaken identity. So make no mistake, your mistakes are not really mistakes. We understand what you may mean and the experience that you are referring to when you say, all right, I made a mistake. I made an error. Something happened that wasn't exactly the way I expected it to be. And of course, we always say when that happens, congratulations. For you have taken an unexpected turn in a direction that can actually be of great benefit to you. But more specifically, the idea here is to redefine the concept, because we also know that many of you, when you experience what you call a mistake, get very down on yourselves, start to worry that you're doing something wrong, heap judgment negatively upon yourself, think less of yourself, think that you should be doing something differently, think that you should be operating in a better way. And while, of course, again, we understand that there can always be improvement, there can always be change, there can always be refinement, there can always be more and more manifestation of what you prefer. Nevertheless, since sometimes it works best for some people on your planet to experience the darkness, which allows them to see the light more easily, the concept of experiencing a mistake can also be used that way. And we would strongly encourage you to do so that you can always reap a benefit from an unexpected outcome, even if that unexpected outcome is something that appears to be something you don't prefer. What we would like to suggest, what we would like to encourage you to do whenever you have the experience that you call a mistake is not to rush past it, not to simply ignore it, not turn away from it, but to examine it more closely, to open your curiosity as to why something happened the way that it did. By opening up in curiosity and exploring the concept of what you previously termed to be a mistake, you may gain great insight into yourself, into your definitions and beliefs, into your processes. You may shed a light, you may illuminate more of how your personality is structured, and this can give you great advantage, great perspective on how to redefine yourself. Of course, also, as many of you know, the concept of a mistake can also in a positive way be used simply as a refinement process. You know that many great inventors on your planet found that they did not invent the thing they were attempting to invent hundreds, thousands of times before they finally invented it. Those that allowed themselves to remain in the state of being that is exemplified by curiosity and fascination and imagination understood that the benefit of finding ways in which the invention did not work was also a positive thing, because it brought them one step closer to understanding by examining their mistakes. You all know and have heard the phrase, learning from your mistakes. And in that sense, you know it can be a positive endeavor, a positive process. But the idea also is to not just think that it's only for you. Because as you, like any explorer, walk a path that may never have been walked before, and find things that may not necessarily be to your preference, nevertheless, by examining them, by opening your curiosity to them and exploring them, you're not only refining the process for yourself, you are refining the process for others as well. Every time you go down a path where something doesn't work in the way that you expected it to, you are charting a course for others so that they don't necessarily have to walk that path as well. The idea of finding out that something doesn't work the way you thought it would saves other people a lot of time, because now they know it won't necessarily work that way for them as well. And so you are being of benefit to the larger community, to the mass consensus, in being willing to explore things that may not necessarily be the most efficient path for someone else to take. And so you have acted as a pioneer. You have explored uncharted territories. You have gone into what you call terra incognita. Be careful, there be dragons here. And so you have cleared the path, shown the way, and allowed yourself, by attempting to go down different paths and different branches that ended in what you might refer to as a dead end, have shown the path that does lead to more understanding, to more experience, to more awareness. You have refined and made more efficient the journey and the process of others in discovering these things you call mistakes. There is no reason to heap negative judgment upon yourselves whatsoever in the experience of this. And if you are willing to pause when something happens that you call a mistake and stay with it, play with it, again, open your curiosity to it and say, why do I suppose this happened this way? What is here that could be revealed to me that I might otherwise not have discovered about myself, about my process, about my thoughts, my behaviors, my feelings, my beliefs?
Let me sit with this. Let me ponder. For this is also just as exciting as the thing I thought I was exploring. For this is unexpected. And this opens up a new door, a new realm I didn't know existed. Let me walk through it. Let me stay for a while. Let me see what I can extract and glean from this experience. You may be very surprised to find that it actually will reveal to you things that will benefit you later down the road that you may have thought, well, this doesn't belong. I don't know why I found this. I don't know why this happened. This doesn't seem to have anything at all to do with what I chose to do. But you may find later that what seemed at first to be a mistaken experience will actually give you something you needed farther down the road than you can see from where you are right now. Because you can hearken back and go, ah, yes, that thing I learned by going down that path that led to a mistake now comes into play in a different way, from a different level, on a different perspective, from a broader point of view, and now I can see why that wasn't a mistake at all, but something I didn't know I needed to pick up along the way. Something I needed to know about myself that now allows me, now that I have arrived where I thought I might wind up, it allows me more appreciation and more ability to experience what it is I am experiencing now. And therefore I see the whole pattern, the whole idea from a holistic point of view. And I don't have to assume that what I experienced before as a mistake was an interruption, was an obstacle, was anything that had nothing at all to do with my path, but was really part of the learning process, the process of learning more and more about who and what I am, which is the whole point. For as we have said, the process is the point. The journey is the destination. And in that way, there are no mistakes. Everything that happens, even what might seem at the moment to be a mistake, is part of that journey and is valid for what it is and teaches you something if you're willing just to sit with it for a while, just to be curious about what it is and what it has to tell you, what it has to reflect to you.
I've got dumped after a 26 years relationship, and as soon as she left me, she pretty much disappeared from my life like I've never existed, and she moved on really quickly with someone else after 1 month, and all of this make me feel like I'm pretty much useless to her. And my question is, why do I still, 6 months later, allow her to make me feel like that? Because I know I'm not, and my son demonstrated to me every day, my friends do the same, so I know I'm not, but I just don't understand why I still allow her to make me feel like that. This is my question. Thank you.
She doesn't make you feel like that, you make yourself feel like that. So her actions are pointing out to you that you're the one diminishing yourself. You're the one believing in your lack of worth. So she's giving you an opportunity to overcome that challenge, to know that you are worthy because you are getting signs that you are. It's giving you the opportunity to choose which ones you really want to pay attention to, which ones you want to believe are true. So you are still in doubt about your worth, which is why you keep wondering why you keep reacting the way that you're reacting and why you feel the way you feel about the fact that she is giving you this opportunity. So this is an agreement you have made to overcome your lack of self-worth and know that you deserve to know that you are worthy as the signs are being given to you by others in your life. Choose the path you really prefer and let go of the path that you don't.